we're going to start things off with more talk of the Q4 lockup. And here we go. This was retweeted and shared from the one and only Mike Cornwell, aka Crypto Mike. And let's talk about the big elephant in the room, the Q4 lockup. All right. So this came from Tycho, and I believe that he was selected to become, a Jasmy ambassador or something like that, right? Let me give him a follow. I thought I was following before. He says, seems to be a lot of Q4 lockup questions, right? There is. You guys always mention it, and rightfully so. We're all excited about the future. According to his understanding, Jasmy lockup is hinged on companies' willingness to lock up said tokens in exchange for increased benefits. The right question is, how many companies hold Jasmy and how much? That's a good question. Okay, so let's dive into this for a second. So this comes from originally Hara on the very top one. I'm going to read all this to kind of help it flow. I mean, I know some of you guys are looking at, what's highlighted from Hara, and that's fine. So dating back to last April 23rd, I believe this comes from a Discord conversation. It says, from Hara, we are planning to accumulate, and let me blow this up just a little bit more. There we go, nice and big, right? So he says, and I'm going to come out of the frame on this one. We are planning to accumulate 20,000 units per year and 3,000 units per Q unit first. This depends on our ability to receive a large volume of orders and our performance. I would like to accumulate them first. I mean, if you think about it, guys, that would make sense, right? I mean, wouldn't that be a better way to lock up things after you accumulate? Even us, we talk about the accumulation phase, like, why would you want to, for instance, go stake, right, on a platform, even earning like 20% if you don't have much to stake because you didn't accumulate much? Think about it, right? It's not rocket science. Getting more further down, this guy named Zui EC from, I guess, France. Do you still have the support of the government to develop your company? Is it planned to is it planned to use secure PCs in a confidentiality approach in these sensitive spheres? Hara replies back, yes, on April 23rd, 2023. Yes, the development of a wallet, and we know that to be the super wallet, right, that uses DD coin. We talked about DD coin a lot. As explained earlier, is well underway. For the purpose of providing this added value, we will ask companies to lock Jasmy within the wallet to provide rank up services and rewards. We expect everyone to lock up for the purpose of using the platform. And then, of course, he goes on to mention some of these other things in regards to like the NFTs. What do you think about general? But that's the key thing. And this was something that I wasn't aware of in regards to this talk, because the last thing I saw was like roughly February 2023. So this is about roughly two and a half, almost 3 months after that. Okay, so a lot of talk about what's going on with that, and I'm glad that Tycho found this in his own finding. Please smash the like. Why does Max put so much emphasis on it? Because it triggers the YouTube algorithm, and it recommends the channel and gets it out and so on. So let's get into just that. And here we go. This is from a guy who I think is pretty darn cool. His name is B Stellar. He does follow me. I follow him. And here it basically is. You may think, what is this? What is this all about? Well, I will tell you what it's all about. So like he says, he looked at the white paper. Some of us look at the white paper. Some of us don't. Some of us don't want to read a whole white paper, right? It gets a little bit boring. But the bottom line is, everybody is wondering about that Q4 lockup. I mean, we could talk about token burns all day long, but in my opinion, this Q4 lockup could be way better than any type of burn you could think of. Some people say, no, Max, you're full of it because you don't understand burns. I do understand burns. Oh, yes, I do. Another guy, in my opinion, who understands burns and gets a little bit ticked off in regards to burns is the one and only Mr. Boomer effing Sooner. Yeah, I think he gets burns, right? So there's a lot of criticism about other projects, and this is not me fudding Shiba Inu. I'm frustrated, just as the next guy, when it comes to SHIB and burns and so on. What are we going to have in regards to not burns, but like an actual token lockup for Jasmy? That's the bottom line. So shout to B Stellar. Give him a follow at Stellar1369. He might be watching. live. You may be watching on Twitter, whatever the case be. I like this guy, right? Because he does his proper research. Check out what he mentions. This is what he gathered from the white paper, and this is good stuff, whether you looked at the white paper or not. Approximately 20 to 25 billion of the supply is allocated to 2 enterprises. This is true because he talked about some of the institutional money that's going to be set aside. And I remember doing, I think, my first deep dive into Jasmy and talked about some of this stuff. So yes, 2 enterprises and institutions, we just mentioned that. These enterprises are required to lock up 50 to 80%, yes, you read that right, okay, of these holdings and participants of like the ecosystem. Based on his research, it's possible that we see around 16 to 20 billion locked up, not a small amount, and that is significant. Now, hear me out on this, okay? And we have a beautiful outline tonight, and so help me God if my internet goes out tonight because Cox Communications decides to work on all this stuff on a Friday night. They're gonna be hearing about it anyway. Forget that. Let's get into this. All right. So I decided to jump more into some of this stuff. And basically speaking, I saw, some things referenced from the past. So we're going to show you where this all originated, just in case you didn't see it before. And if anything, check this out right here. I will come more into the frame in a bit. But yes, the lockup period, right? Q4 2023, that's right around the corner. Removing available circulating supply for company holdings. This is in place of a burn mechanism. Where did this originate? Again, where it originated was from Dip Metaverse. He says, "Hi, Danny. I saw the roadmap. This is back in February 2nd, 2023. It looks great. I do have one question, though. Can you share when the lockup period for the ecosystem begins?" And he basically says, as in Danny, you got to keep in mind, this guy helps manage the Discord for Jasmy. He says he checked in with Hara, right? We know, everybody knows who Hara is unless you're brand new. Currently, Jasmy is planning to start the lockup period for ecosystem in Q4 2023. Now, is there anything more to this? Of course, there is a lot more in regards to this. And this is what everybody's been bringing up lately. So where did I take this? All right, I'm going to show you where I found out some more information. And this is good stuff. And some of you guys have shared this, some of you haven't. There's other sources, there's rumors, blah, blah, blah. But I think there might be something solid in regards to this. So this was reported 2 days ago from cryptoalert.com. And basically, I've zoomed in as much as I could for this. Check this out. Jasmy locks up tokens as Rencom network rumors suggest exciting partnership. Now, if you're wondering just who the heck is Rencom, okay, we're going to get to that in a bit as well. Of course, there's all these recent tweets, and we know about the concept of, lockups and so on. I'm not going to bore you with that. But what I want to jump down to is this right here. In addition to this intriguing development, rumors have been circulating about a potential partnership between Rencom Network, which native token is RNT. And before we get more into this, I did try to see if Rencom Network's RNT had a proper listing on CMC. All I see is kind of like liquidity pairings and so on. You can see that for yourself and so on. But what is significant is, like I said, the partnership between them as a Rencom and Jasmy Labs. These speculations suggest that Rencom Network is in discussions with Jasmy Labs regarding collaborative ventures. Now, I want to state this. A lot of us don't like the idea of anything being speculative, right? We're kind of burned out with speculation, right? Connecting dots is one thing. I do with you guys all the time. But a lot of times we just want to see something solid, right? I couldn't blame you one single bit in regards to that. Like, everybody wants to see something solid. But you got to keep in mind with this particular one, I'm leaning towards this is a real thing. And the reason why I state that is because I look more into it. I saw other sources. I've seen other people talk about it. I don't know if it's, the official Jasmy ambassadors, like, they're under an NDA, like, hey, this is a thing, but you can't really mention it. I'm not saying that's the case because I'm not an ambassador yet. I hope to be one, right? I heard that I'm on the list, but don't get our hopes up, right? Anyway, it goes on to mention that these collaborative ventures in the fields of the Internet of Things, and we know Jasmy is all over the Internet of Things, like as I always would say, like a fat kid on cake. Max, you are a fat kid on cake, whatever. But cybersecurity services, such a partnership would be significant given the potential synergies between the two projects. Okay, well, is there more in regards to this? Absolutely. This could open up new horizons for both RMT and Jasmy token holders. Now, just to give you a heads up on RMT, if you think, well, who the heck is Rencom Network, Max? I mean, there's a lot of different cryptocurrency projects that are part of IoT. You know, IoTex. That's not a bad one, by the way. You know, we talk about IOTA. We talk about, I mean, there's at least 10 other ones, right? That they're not too bad. Ocean Protocol, right? We can go on and on about this, right? But look at this when we get more into it. Rencom Network, known for its recent entry to the phase 1 discussions with the Republic of who? You know, you guys always say, who? The what? The Republic of Palau. Now, just hear me out on this. You know where I'm going with this. So Ripple XRP had the whole thing with the test pilot, if you will, for the Republic of Palau. But you say what you want. Republic of Palau is really testing a lot of stuff when it comes to blockchain and DLT, right? I'm not going to talk your ear off about the whole thing with Ripple XRP. But we do know, like I've always said, that IVS Crypto 2023, just because Jasmy doesn't have a direct partnership with Ripple, Ripple was the diamond sponsor for that particular event. And it's something to be said about certain companies that are connected with blockchain and DLT and so on. They talk, right? Behind the scenes, we don't get the reports, but you better believe they talk, right? So yes, implementation of RNT for government rentable assets. That sounds interesting. I might want to research more of RNT, and maybe you want to as well. It's not financial advice, but look at this. Been making waves in the crypto space. Did you know that RNT experienced a remarkable surge in value with an impressive 3,000, that's not a typo, 3,000% increase in recent weeks and then a staggering 21,000% surge over the past month? And here's the best part. These guys have a potential partnership. This might be a real thing with Jasmy. So let's backtrack for a second. I know I'm kind of excited tonight, and I am. I have a lot of reasons to be. I feel so blessed. I feel so great. I'm so thankful for everything that's recently transpired. But I want to state this. How many times have we connected the dots when we talk about some of these key things? We'll talk about Felica. We'll talk about, you know, former Sony executives, not just from Sony going to Jasmy, Kuntaki Ando, Kasuma Sato, and so on, but former Sony executives, right? Soramitsu. That was a great example. And then we gave the example of, is there a quant connection? Yes. You know, ISO TC307, right? But what is so cool here, while we recognize those examples, and those are great examples of collaborating, this is another great example of collaborating. Why would Rencom want to choose Jasmy? My basic explanation for this is because why wouldn't they want to? They recognize Jasmy just like we recognize Jasmy, and that is they are the premier Internet of Things platform. Okay, supply and demand and partnerships, and you know these guys working with that guys to contribute to one key thing, and that is utility, but their overall goal, like I've always mentioned before, like you know Hollywood production, and that is the goal of Society 5.0. Now let's get more into this. Okay, so this is cool too, okay? You can make that connection with Jasmy as well. Watch this. Rencom Network has received insider confirmation that its native token, RNT, which witnessed an astounding 3,000% growth last week, has been granted, look at this, non-security status by its internal legal team. Who is the first regulatory compliant cryptocurrency in Japan? Jasmy, right? These guys also granted non-security status. By who? The FSA, or whatever they're called nowadays. You get where I'm going with this? I think you do. Now look at this. The combination of these developments paints a picture of a dynamic and rapidly evolving cryptocurrency landscape as Jasmy prepares for just that lockup period, and rumors of a collaboration with Rencom Network continue to circulate. The crypto community is abuzz with, of course, this excitement, speculation, and so on. Anticipation in regards to these two projects. It goes on to mention that the ever-expanding potential of blockchain tech and its ability to reshape industries forge innovative partnerships. The coming months promise to be eventful for both Jasmy and Rencom Network. Now, of course, I've been elaborating about this for a while, and I do appreciate you guys' patience, especially in the comments, but this is good stuff because you've been waiting for all this talk. Now, this is Rencom, and you're like, how in the world does this have anything to do with, a quarter four lockup? And I can't blame you, but we're going to get into, for a brief bit, Rencom. Here is your site. Check this out for yourself, and look what it says. Empowering holders with annual rewards. Now, we did talk about, for instance, different examples, whether it's DD coin, where you would have pairings basically, with Jasmy, where you would have an example of, like you're contributing to the Society of Japan. And as a result, you get rewarded for that with the DD coin pairing with Jasmy's native token, right? But this is another example of rewards. So it says they have a revolutionary network. Their blockchain-powered platform offers more than just tokens. It's a realm of empowerment and substantial rewards. Explore a vast array of opportunities beyond traditional properties, from residential and commercial spaces to everyday items like bikes, construction equipment, so on and so forth. Look what it says here. Enables a seamless asset utilization and rewarding outcomes. We're familiar with PancakeSwap. We're familiar with Uniswap, unless you're brand new, right? So why this network, it says? Well, they are a registered trademark entity in Canada. They have a global reach, revolutionizing the rental landscape. And that's why it's called RNT. They're paving the way for seamless rental experience where your RNT tokens open up the door to a diverse array of rental assets, from homes to vehicles, motorcycles, and even construction tools. So the way I'm looking at it is this. We talked about the concept of DD token or DD coin and so on. And that's big, especially when it comes to transit, even Internet of Things, you name it. But when we talk about, for instance, like Quant, we gave you guys examples in regards to, the tokenization of real estate. And it's definitely being tokenized. We literally see it before our eyes. But we never really necessarily talked so much about rent, right? Like rental properties and so on. So this is unique in its own regard. And to have this going on with Jasmy, I think this could be a potential big thing. Now, I know there's no confirmation with it, but it's something that I wanted to share with you guys. And again, when we get more information about it, I think I'll share it. But I am leaning towards, I think this is a real thing. There's enough evidence to, to support that. Go look around on crypto Twitter yourself. It literally is a buzz with this information. All right, so a little bit more in regards to what we have. And basically speaking, Jasmy's future, right? This is some of my own notes, right? So we know that quarter four is big. And, the lockup is in place of a burn mechanism. Jasmy does have a burn mechanism. They never utilize it, right? The main focus that we're all looking forward to is basically that lockup, right? So does old Max have more information for you guys? Yes, you better believe I do. And if anything, this will be chopped up later, and I'll put it in the recording section for you guys. But here it is. Let's jump into this. And basically, yeah, I would agree that, this whole thing with the lockup is big. The Bitcoin halving, April 2024 is big. Jasmy with the new blockchain, Jasmy chain is big, right? And also developing an AI engine. Big stuff, right? But let's talk about the fourth thing that hasn't been mentioned a lot recently that leads up to this. Because we want to not just cover the whole thing of the quarter four lockup, but we should talk about the big elephant in the room, and that is the what? Japan's tax reform. Shout out to Simon Greco, who gave me some of this current information. And I'm going to share this on the screen. And this is new. This is recently shared not that long ago. Here it is. Japan edging towards crypto tax reform. Now, we talked about it a little bit in the past, a few months ago. Let's revisit this for a second. Like I said, this was reported just roughly a few days ago, September 4th. You might not have been aware of this. Japan is moving towards those tax reforms, with the nation's top financial regulators set to change the way taxes are basically hitting these domestic crypto firms, especially in Japan. Per the Japanese media outlet CoinPost, an official financial service agency, FSA, released, the regulatory has submitted legislation requests to the government, right? change request. Look at this. The FSA, and I always thought it was just called JVCEA at this point, but I'll have to double check that. I mean, some people still call it FSA. Bottom line is they want to modify its crypto corporate tax system to scrap the current unrealized gain system for domestic firms. And again, I want to point this out. What have we been talking about for many months now when it comes to the local banks of Japan? For one, Jasmy has a real connection to some of these ones. If you saw the previous Jasmy QN or Jasmy Quant video, in the middle of that thumbnail, it mentions MUFG. And that was really crucial because we tied some things together in the past of why that's so significant. But notice how it says unrealized gains for the system for domestic firms or domestic banks. Okay. Under the current Japanese legal system, if a company holds crypto assets, were you aware of this? It must pay tax on unrealized gains, increases in their coin's value at the end of each fiscal year. That's interesting, and especially if you're a Jasmy holder, because what about, again, the coin's values? In other nations, firms only need to pay a tax on cryptos they sell or swap for fiat. We know that. Look at this quote. The rule has long been criticized for placing a burden on companies and hindering innovation in the crypto asset and blockchain sectors. The FSA document notes that the Ministry of Economy, Trade, and Industry has also signed off on the reform. They're all for it. They're all down, like James Brown out of town at Greyhound, right? Look at this. The FSA says it plans to ask Tokyo to create a legal amendment to reflect its wishes. Now, here's the thing, and you may get tired of me always mentioning it, and if you've been following me for many months, you know where I'm going with this. Who's the plug? Who's the connect? Mr. Genki Oda. Who does he work for? The FSA. So who is going to be the lead chairman, if you will, when it comes to fast tracking these legal amendments? Yes, Genki Oda. Who's heavily tied into Jasmy through Bitcoin? Genki Oda. Who's also a chairman over at SBI Japan? Genki Oda. All right. Now you guys get tired of me mentioning Genki Oda. Anyway, most lawmakers are unlikely to raise any objections to these plans, with the government typically following the lead of the FSA on crypto-related policy matters. And again, you love what you see here. Here in the United States, we can only dream of getting to what Japan is already at right now. If you're a Jasmy holder, you should be paying attention to this because it's bullish news. The Japan Blockchain Association, known as the JBA, a major crypto industry group, has also asked the FSA to ensure the tax reforms are also extended to crypto assets. That is not a typo. Crypto assets held by third parties. Oh my God. So for one, we got the Q4 thing looming up here soon. Like, I honestly think, like, they cannot kick that can down the road. As far as how much that gets locked up, like, is it 16 billion? Is it more? Some of you guys are saying 70%, and then, a little bit more in regards to, like, right before the Bitcoin halving. I don't know. I'm not a fortune teller, right? But what it does state here, Sota Watanabe, or Watanabe, I'm not pronouncing that right, CEO of Startail, took to X, right, formerly known as Twitter, to echo the JBA's sentiments and warn of a crisis in the domestic crypto industry, right? You got to be a little bit objective, right? All sorts of exciting things going on, but we do got to come a little bit back down to earth, right? We touched the moon, shout out to Ahmed. He was like, when the moon? We touched it a little bit, my friend. But we got to come back down for a second. So he says, it's really important to make these reforms this year. Okay, well, aren't we technically in Q4 right now? Somebody remind me. I think we are, right? If we're in September, this is the last quarter. September, October, November, December. So technically, I guess you could say October would be, right? But we're really close to that. So he says, so far, he has seen an outflow of startups overseas. I have a feeling that if we do not, Japanese companies will leave after next year. I think it will lead to the hollowing out of Japanese industry. Now, I want to show you guys this. And I'm sure you guys have seen the video in regards to my last Jasmy video. But I want to share with you guys just the intro. All right, that's it, just the intro. And the reason why I want to show you just the intro is because it is so significant Now, it is in regards to the last Jasmy video we put out 4 days ago. And I'm going to share this for just a second. And if anything, I'm just going to play just the intro. Get rid of these ads real quick. Okay. And the key thing is what you're going to see former Prime Minister, rest in peace, right? Shinzo Abe, on what he has to share. And this is crucial stuff, right? So let's play this in a second after these freaking ads get done, right? Maybe that just gave us 50 cents right there. I don't know. I'm going to rewind it to this part. Hold on a second. All right. So I'm going to fast track it to, let's play at the very, very beginning. You guys have probably seen this, but this is a perfect reminder. This is a good little intro. Let's play this and we'll come right back.
I want the best and the brightest Japanese talent with superb technology and high motivation to dive themselves into Silicon Valley. We have too many middle-sized companies and SMEs which cannot break out of local markets despite having world-class technological capacity that we can boast to the world. Out of such companies, we will select 200 companies in the next 5 years to send to Silicon Valley. Stanford University, the US-Japan Council, and others will extend support. But these Japanese companies will experience intense competition against first-class designers and investors and make the challenge to be reborn as entirely new companies.
Okay, so remember what Shinzo Abe basically said there. We will send 200 companies to where? Silicon Valley. Now, what did we discover in the past and why some other content creators, not just myself, mention what is going on in Silicon Valley? You know, Kunitake Ando, The Office, and so on. Was that a nothing burger? That is not a nothing burger. Again, reference Shinzo Abe. That was a key thing. That was like a little, I don't know, Easter egg I dropped you guys if you've been paying attention to some of the stuff. I do stuff like that in the intros. If you're wondering why that was part of that intro, even though we're talking about education at the time, I just give you a little tidbit, right? For you wanting a little bit more. Now, speaking of a little bit more, we're going to jump back to what we have in regards to this. And again, this is from Crypto News. And I know it's a lot to take in tonight, but you know what? I haven't been with you guys since basically a week, technically speaking, when it comes to talking about Jasmy. So we got a lot of catching up to do. So here it is again. And I'll come back into the frame. So basically speaking, you know, this quote again, it's so important to make these reforms when this year. So far, we have seen an outflow of startups overseas. Ooh, don't you just love it how I connect that? Again, back to Shinzo Abe. This is why we, you know, I'm not the only one who does this. You've seen other content creators when it comes to deep dive research that represent the past to give you an idea of what we have accomplished and where we're at right now. Please smash that like if you haven't done so already, and especially if you are a Jasmy holder. It says, I have a feeling that if we do not, in regards to like Japanese companies will leave after, Japanese companies will leave one after another next year. I think it will lead to the hollowing out of Japanese industry. Do I see that happening? No. I think they're going to get this done. They're going to get this going. They realize the time is now. Why would you have, for instance, Taro Kono go through all the trouble of promoting this new regulatory framework of data free flow with trust, DFFT, if it was a nothing burger, right? It is not a nothing burger. Now, for you guys, the retail investors, you, me, so on, Japanese crypto tax reform. Why now? That's the bottom line. Well, if you've been following it, you do know why it's now, especially with what's going on in the United States, because right now in the United States, we don't have that now, but we have it in regards to Japan. The JBA has also called for the FSA to reform the way it taxes individuals and wants the regulator to allow traders to defer losses. I mean, for a lot of us, let's face it, you might have had a lot of losses in 2022. You went about things the wrong way, right? You bought at all-time highs, or that's just not the way to go about things, right? But you live and you learn. The industry association also wants Tokyo to waive tax on crypto transactions for who individuals. This is absolutely big. And we do know that when it comes to, Japan, we still don't have the unbanning of the foreign stablecoins, Tether and Circle. I do feel as though Circle will still be first if I had to bet on one. But the key thing is, once those are unbanned, again, it creates that much more supply, that much more demand. When you create pairings, it's access. We talk about access when it comes to all these different cryptos all the time. Talk about Stellar, serving the unbanked and giving people, the underprivileged people of the world access, right? But the bottom line is the pairings. A little bit more in regards to all this. Some critics want the government to switch to a fiat capital gains rate of 20% crypto to fiat traders rather than tax crypto as a form of other income. I'm not going to try to cause a political debate, but remember Biden's stance in regards to capital gains? I mean, it's a little bit ridiculous. In its release, the FSA explained that the reason for requesting the legal reform was to improve the environment for the promotion of Web3 and promote business startups that make use of blockchain tech. Again, this is a reference, once again, to what you saw from Shinzo Abe back when he was alive. And it's really interesting to see what companies have emerged from that time being. Again, just because you don't see these particular assets pumping to the moon, we have learned quite a bit in regards to other ones like XTC and what they've accomplished in a bear market in crypto winter. Let's get back to the topic of the government. The government is trying to foster a sector that has complained of over regulation in recent years. Some lawmakers, talked about this, but the bottom line is business leaders have claimed that previous administrations are taxing Japanese firms out of the domestic markets. All right, so they're recognizing that, we're embracing crypto, we're embracing blockchain. I should say in Japan, DLC and so on. Great. Do you have something to complement that, right? What's the point of embracing all this if you're going to tax the living hell out of the innovators? That doesn't make no sense. That's why we bring it to you guys. Recent events have been, shown this resurgence in the industry, particularly in, let's face it, Binance trying to force its way into the market. They have, and I do want to talk about this. I know this is a lot to take in, but you gotta see what the heck is going on. We're always paying attention to what Binance does, especially CZ and so on. So yes, Binance trying to force its way into the market. We know that they came up with Binance Japan and went live August 1st. We're now into September, well into September. But they traditionally dominated the domestic startups and Japanese securities providers. In regards to Binance Japan, this was reported on August 30th. Were you aware that they were planning to nearly triple the number of crypto assets listed on its platform from 34 to 100? Now, you may feel as though that, the big whoop-de-doo, who really cares? But at the end of the day, I think you should care, right? Let me go back to this. I didn't mean to click on that. How about this? Prime Minister Fumio Kishida underlined, of course, back in July. We know about this, right? So we're not going to get too into that. But that was, in regards to Web3, blockchain sectors. So I'm paying attention to all this, and I'm bringing it to you guys, right? So let's get into this next part. And basically speaking, to wrap things up for our segment, all right? And I know that you guys feel as though, hey, the quarter four thing is a big deal. But you got to keep in mind all the things that are involved in it. We don't have any, how should I say this? Let me jump back for a second. We don't have any verification from the Jasmy team or anything like that. But these indicators the rumors. We'll see if they're just rumors. We'll see if they're real. But I'm paying attention to all of it. But I'm especially paying attention to the tax reforms, this key new potential partner, and so on.